On May 17, 2019, I had one of my best storm chases to date at that point. It was just a few days after I graduated from college and I flew out to Kearney, Nebraska, where I positioned in the morning knowing the afternoon could hold something pretty good. I had a friend with me who had no background whatsoever in weather. He was an economics student, and so he didn't really know what he was getting into. Around lunchtime, we stopped for lunch, we drove south and west, and I decided to position near McCook, Nebraska, where a combination of boundaries nearby and an approaching low pressure system could make things a little bit interesting in the afternoon. By the time we got there, the western horizon was darkening and we could see towering clouds really starting to soar, and that's when I knew, hey, this could be the best storm of the day because it's the first one. You see, sometimes the first storm that goes up has no competition nearby, and it can take advantage of all the parameters in the atmosphere to really become a monstrosity, and that's exactly what happened here. The issue was that we didn't have cell service and we didn't have Wi-Fi, so I had no way to get radar data. The last frame I had showed this rotating thunderstorm that looked to be producing really big hail. So my buddy Mihao said, hey, if we stay here, will we get big hail? I said, yeah. And he was like, okay, let's do that, because he really wanted to see big hail. And I said to him, we can stay here. This will get us good hail, but if we get a tornado warning over the radio, we have to blast east just so I can see it. And with that, tornado warning came over the radio, so we went east, and that's when I saw this. What you see in the left right here is the rotating updraft. That's where air is spiraling into the storm, that warm, moist, uninterrupted flow of air from the south. That's the fuel for the storm. On the right, to the northwest, you see the downdraft, this cloudy region where you have rain and big hail coming down, and the two remain separate, and that's key to the storm's longevity. In ordinary storms, the downdraft chokes off the updraft, but here, they're remaining entirely separate, so that's what allowed it to thrive. Time-lapse video shows a wall cloud beginning to descend from the updraft. That's where the air is flowing into the storm. You're getting kind of an apex of rotation, starting to spiral down and get even closer, and that's when I knew that a tornado would be possible with this storm. So we blast east, we try to get out of dodge, so to speak, and reposition, and the next time we turn around, I see the tornado just about to form. I love this picture because it's like something from a meteorological textbook. What you see is dark on the right and this big spiral of clouds, and in the middle, right over the road, that's where the rotation is focused. Now on the left, you can see behind the storm, there's this weird little wedge of light color. That's actually the dry slot of cool, dry air on the backside of the storm wrapping in to tighten the rotation. And within just a few minutes, it carves out this little area, this kind of notch in the storm, where that rotation is squeezed. Think about the conservation of angular momentum, the ice skater spinning on the ice. If she pulls in her arms, she spins faster, and that's what's happening here. We're tightening that radius of rotation enough that it strengthens, it spins faster, it squeezes towards the ground, and even in this picture, you can see scud, air being ingested up from below with those weird little tuft-like clouds starting to fan into the spin. And that's a sign that there's a lot of upward moving air and it's spinning faster. And this was only about 1 minute, 60 seconds before that tornado would form. Very quickly, an elephant trunk tornado touched down, and we saw it as we were driving through town. Eventually, I parked, Mihao grabbed the camera, and of course, he was supposed to be photographing the whole time. He was on Snapchat instead, but I'm not bitter. Instead, the tornado touched down in this big dusty field, and it's kind of cool because you see dust fanning out left of the tornado. Part of that's being kicked up by the tornado itself, and the rest is being lofted by the rear flank downdraft, cool air wrapping into the backside of the storm. And so you get kind of this little front of cool air along which all that dust is being lifted. And eventually the tornado was being yanked along by the storm as it moved northeast around 35-40 miles per hour. The bottom of the tornado was kind of lollygagging behind, so it stretches the vortex enough to make the tornado thinner but make it spin faster. And this is the first step of the roping out process. This looked like something you'd see out of The Wizard of Oz, just how much it was undulating back and forth, the motions in the funnel and the little perturbations that occasionally rippled through. And eventually it lifted, but I knew that where there's one tornado, there may be others, and this could be the start of a tornado family. So everyone else is on the side of the road taking pictures of the storm as it departs. I blast north and east once again with my buddy, and now we have no cell service, no radar, and the weather radio is kind of going in and out, so we're really flying dark. We drive into the storm again. There's rain everywhere. You can hardly see a thing, and now I know that we're in this tornadic supercell. A new one's developed. Another tornado could touch down at any minute, and we just don't know. And when you're in the middle of a rural Nebraska sandfield or sandhills and you have no access to cell service or anything else, it's kind of an eerie situation. I remember the radio finally coming back, the static going away, and the weather automated voice says, large destructive tornado somewhere near Culbertson. And I looked and I said, where are we? And Mihal, who was navigating, said Culbertson. We look right, and through the curtains of rain, we just see this classic funnel about a mile away. And it's a big one too, and it's really tearing up the ground. I pull into this parking lot, and there's a guy who's stuck in the mud in his Toyota RAV4, and I just sprint out, and I get video and picture of this tornado. Hail the size of hen eggs is pelting me, I had a hard hat on, and watching this thing carve through the field, nobody impacted, was my first experience with a classic start to finish storm chase day where everything went right. From then on, I was hooked.
Follow MyRadar on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Download MyRadar on iOS, Android, Amazon Alexa, Xbox, and Windows.